All right, good morning. It is 10 a.m. on Friday, August 22nd, 2025. I call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Our first item this morning is to review and discuss jail maintenance projects and work orders. Chief, I see we've got our out-of-county revenue sheets here. Anything you'd like to report?
You're talking about
On maintenance and all of it.
everything's running pretty smooth. Had 53 work orders the week before last. I don't have the email yet for this week. We do have one of the big washing machines down in the laundry, but we'll replace that with DCIF. It's about 15 years old, so it's probably towards its end of its life cycle. So that's everything else is other than the leaks on the roof when it rains.
Any update on what's going on the roof?
I saw an email yesterday evening from Glenda to
HOK and Yates,
HOK.
yeah. They've been talking back and forth. I visited with her yesterday. Of course, no one wants to take any responsibility.
Sure.
So we're still fighting that in. Rick and I talked yesterday. We probably need to move forward with making the repairs that we had the quote for earlier.
Okay.
And then still continue this fight on the warranty issue.
Wherever that ends up.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Yeah, this one looks like it's reflecting it. We've had a significant reduction in our Collin County
Yes.
population.
They came and took 20 back.
Really?
Yeah, they are
We're having
redoing
their
how they're
internal
yeah
fight in Collin County right now.
yeah
Oh.
on all the out of jail housing and cost. So
But you're trying to keep them all in-house now?
it's just they're so far over budget on paying for the out of the housing. It wasn't budgeted for. I think they were $5 million over already this year. So
I'm really glad we're not in that predicament.
yeah.
Okay.
But this morning we're still sitting at 600 people. So it's kind of a blessing they took 20 back.
Mm-hmm.
600.
Yeah. Week before last we had 60 waiting to go to TDCJ. I don't know what the current number is. We sent like 16 last week. So we have a lot ready to go. We're just getting them out of the building. They have 45 days to come get them once they're paper ready. And they have, once we send the paper to them, they have 5 days to tell us if there's any errors. If there's an error, then we have to correct it, and then it starts over again.
Are they typically right up against it, but getting them before they get them?
Sometimes they're a couple days late.
How did we communicate that to the state to make
Well,
sure we're getting reimbursed for that?
We're working on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll say, "Well, we didn't." Well, one, they're short-handed, so they don't have enough people to process it all. So they kind of, but they seem the ones that they seem to be over. They always seem to find an error in it. So some minor. So
And then their 45 days
45
starts?
starts over again.
You missed a comma.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We all need to
One of
clean
those-
that up a little bit and not make any errors.
Yeah.
One of those hidden unfunded mandates.
Judge, back on that roof deal again, and Melvin, I don't know what you've looked at there, but I mean, is our insurance company involved on any subrogation of any
I
sort?
don't think we're there yet. I think while they're still trying to figure out who's to blame, and then we haven't involved because we haven't made any claim with our insurance company
with
on
only-
it yet.
There's
Now
only
we-
$17,000 worth of damage, so we have not made a claim.
Yeah.
But no, what I'm talking about is that the fix for this thing is going to be extensive, though, is it not?
If
The
you fix
damage
it
is one
properly.
thing, but the replacement for the roof is going to be
It might be smart
astronomical.
to have our insurance lawyers in the negotiation part of trying to settle that.
And what is the possibility, let's say we move towards a new roof, bonding on that? I mean, okay, Judge, I'll give you've got a 20-year warranty on the roof I'm putting on here, and then you've got 3 years, you got a problem. Hey, no, that's not our issue. What what is something that holds their feet to the fire? We even have, or what we're working on in road use agreement has a bond in it
Right.
that says, you know, if you don't do what you say you're doing here, you're paying. And we're talking about a bunch of money.
Yeah. I mean, you can potentially add anything you want into a contract as long as the other party's willing to agree. I mean, if we run into this problem, we can certainly try to add that in, but, yeah, I don't know.
And if we make repairs to it now, how will that affect our warranty if they come in
It
later
would,
and say,
it's,
well,
it's the company that, the company that was sold, the company put our roof on is sold to a different company. This is the same company essentially that put our roof on,
They're an
so.
authorized service provider for Carlisle. So
I just didn't
if
want
they
Carlisle to
do
be
the
coming
repair-
back later saying,
No,
well,
if they
you
do the
put that
repair, it'll-
product on there, so we're not gonna cover it.
If they do the repair, it'll still,
What
it'll,
is the repair? Is it a complete replacement?
no,
What's the scope of the?
It's, well, I don't have it with me, but it was some small holes that were noted that may be all the way through or may not be all the way through. There were some areas where, the bar that attaches the membrane to the wall, where there's some gaps there that need some patching. But there was some other stuff.
There's some flashing around one of the units.
Flashing, yeah, there was some flashing around one of the units, and that's just, the things that they saw and quoted to us were just a part of the picture. And then on the larger scope of things, that's where, you know, we try to get Carlisle involved to look at the whole thing from a big picture. And then if we can maintain and try to keep as little water out of the building in the process, which I think is probably gonna be our obligation to do something, because if we keep waiting, it's not gonna get any better for
Yeah.
the building. But if we can stop the bleeding, so to speak, and then do whatever we gotta do with HOK and anybody else and try to get them to own up to doing the full repair, which would be probably the entire perimeter of the roof, where it all comes up the walls. It's just, it's
the
not-
vertical seams are,
Yeah,
they need to be all addressed.
Yeah.
And that, and we have several issues with the RTU curbs where the membrane was wrinkled when they put the RTUs on. They did not do due diligence to protect that membrane and keep it stretched.
If you don't do a repair like you're talking about, Ricky, going like all the joints, all there, or whatever, that's not the right terminology, but it looks to me like the big problem's gonna be finding it all. You know, I mean, you don't wanna miss, and, that's gonna be difficult to identify. And it seems like what I've heard, and the problem is that we could have some more show up later as that thing, you know, contracts and expands and moves around a little bit. So to me, that's the big problem is making sure we've identified all of it. Now, I don't know how you do that.
well, that's where I had, you know, of course, we had Carlisle come out, and their inspector walked through everything. And I believe that it's going to take people that are experts in the field, that are
Know
gonna
what they're
come
looking
out,
for.
that are non-biased,
Right.
and they're gonna look at it and say, here's your problem, here's
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we were kinda hoping that Carlisle would have done that and kinda stood up for the product, but, you know, you know how it is when you start asking for, you know, people to take liability for anything.
Well, if it was an installation problem, there's something that caused the problem. If I'm Carlisle, you know, I wanna figure that out because it's making me look bad. And you don't want that, you know, just because somebody shot a staple through your membrane, well, you know, you just, you know, that's not, it's a good product and it's making our product look bad, so I would hope they would be.
Pretty much what they said on that, there was an installation error, but they come back with the fixes before they accepted it, and that's why there's two sets of vertical bars, or horizontal bars on the vertical panels. So, the tie-down bars. Cause they kind of acknowledged that the original was probably not done correctly, but they had a fix at the time, and that's all it required.
So to be continued.
Yeah, yeah, it's, we're still pursuing.
Okay.
But we may end up having to bring TAC in and have them send their adjuster out to go over it.
Okay. Chief, anything else on this item?
No, sir.
Okay. Item number 2 is receive status report on salaries and overtime. Everyone should have that email from Wilmer yesterday morning, 7:50. Man, here before 8 o'clock.
Good. So 2 things I want to address on this one. Currently, we are 16 open positions. We have 4 to start next week, and we have 6 in the background. The second thing is, I really took a better look at the overtime, 'cause I was asked this week about overtime. And so this is kind of complex, so bear with me. I talked to Matt a little bit yesterday too about this. So in 2024, 560, when it was all said and done, was $46,411 in the red. 561 was $438,032 in the red. Of course, 1,769,514 was overtime, but a lot of that was made up from open positions. In other areas made up a lot of that cost, the override cost, so $400,000. Altogether, we were $443 in the red for 560 and 561 last year. Of the total budget of $22,366,000, we were 2% over. On something we planned 18 months in advance. I think it's acceptable. But also got to looking at how we capture overtime hours. Everybody's figured out 2,280 hours a year of working hours. If your road guys have vacation or sick time, it comes as part of that 2,280 hours. They get paid. When our jailers take time off, we have to cover that jail. We had to bring somebody in to cover that position. So this past 2 weeks, which was the 1st to the 14th of August, we had 2,772 hours overtime in the jail between the supervisors and jailers. We had 12 open positions that whole time, so that was equivalent to 1,152 hours that we had to make up. We also had 1,195 hours of sick or vacation time taken that we had to make up. So if you take those 2 off the 2677 hours, we have 330 hours unaccounted for that we've been short bodies. So staffing's not there. Kind of hard to ask for additional staffing when we can't keep the staffing full that we have. I think me and the judge talked about that a little bit. So and I talked about you have to fill the positions. So I asked them for all the number of sick time for 2024, and it was 23 sick time, vacation time used in the jail is 23,392 hours. Now, there are some times when the jailer took a vacation day, and then still had to work another day that week, so he didn't actually lose. He actually didn't take any time off the hour, but we had to fill that position. So these are kind of in the ballpark numbers. If you just do a $30 an hour out there, that's $701,000 for the sick and vacation time. We don't account for that in budget anywhere. It's unaccounted for money. We don't have a line item to pay vacation and sick to extra coverage. Does that make sense? Everybody follow with me?
Yeah.
So if you add that back into there, we would have been on the good side of the jail. We just don't capture that line, and maybe that's something we need to do in the future or figure out how to capture that.
I understand what you're saying, Chief. I think from a budgetary standpoint, that's essentially every department has that same, it's still built into the budget for everybody. Y'all are just in the unique position where if we're down 2 people in the county judge's office, we're down 2 people, and
but we're 2 in the
you
jail.
have
We to
you have
hire
requirements
back.
that you have to.
Yeah, but we don't have any way to capture. We don't put a number out there on an average. Okay, we had so far this year we've used 18,240 hours in the jail, so that's $547,000
In sick time?
in sick or vacation.
And last year total was only 23,000.
23,392. Yeah,
And you're at 18,000.
240. We're 2/3
It's a
way
little
through the
bit
year,
ahead, yeah.
It's a little over.
so.
You said a number earlier, you were talking about the total hours short. It was in the 300 range?
330 hours.
330.
That was just for this pay
That
period?
was that for that one pay period, yes.
At full, and I know we've talked about this before, at full staffing, you have every single position that's open filled right now.
If we had full staffing and no one took vacation and no one took sick time in that 2-week period, we'd still be short 330 hours.
You'd still be short.
Yes.
Yeah, but full staffing, Judge, is really,
We
it's
don't have relief.
anomaly, it's not full.
Right, no, I know,
Yeah.
I'm,
We don't have the relief factor built into our staffing. That's what it amounts to.
to the tune of $700,000 last year.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps any. It kind of clears the mud or makes it more muddy, but
No, I mean, it helps, because it's been an ongoing
yeah,
discussion.
we have those hours every time, but when you throw everything in there, and that doesn't include FMLA, military leave, you know, things like that we occur from time to time that, you know, we don't have that body, that position's filled, but that person's not here
Yeah.
for a month or 6 weeks.
You know, and the big accelerator in that deal is you've got an individual that's off sick leave or off on vacation, and you're replacing that with an overtime cost.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That
Yep.
really runs the thing up. That's where we get in a wreck. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio.
If we had 10 extra positions, I mean, could I fill them? I don't know. I can't fill the ones I have right now. So,
And that's what I
can't-
kind of wondered,
Yeah.
how if you were completely staffed with the salaries and all the fringe, how does it compare with what our current staffing is with the overtime? Where the budget actually, because it can't be, it's probably similar. I mean, if fully staffed is, what are you right now, at 112 or something? What's the number of employees? Somewhere around there.
yeah, 117, I think.
And fully
Yeah.
staffed would be in the 130, 140, or
That is fully staffed, 117, if we had everybody there.
if you had everybody.
Yeah, in the
That's
jail.
what I'm saying. It might be pretty similar, the overtime costs versus the fully staffed with fringe benefits.
Yeah.
Well, the problem you run into that I see also is that if you go fully staffed and you try to compensate with the lost hours by adding 5 positions or whatever to help it, you get to the point where you can't offer them the hours they need to justify having the job. That gets to be a problem. If you there's a certain level there.
There's a give and take,
Yeah,
yes.
it's give and take, and there are people that say, well, you know, I'm gonna come to work for you, but I need 40 hours. And if we're trying to get to the point where we've got that backup staff available, there'll be a point there where we'll struggle to get everybody the hours they need, so.
But even if Will was at, say, 140 employees, you're still going to deal with the overtime that's accrued from vacation and sick leave. You don't have enough staff.
Well, we had the relief factor at that point. So we had 130 employees. We had the relief factor to cover sick, vacation, school,
Yeah.
jail schools. You know, we have that relief factor built in. The jail commission puts a relief factor at 2.11 for every position.
Okay.
But everybody is, I assume, taking their vacation schedule.
They do, but
But
you
I
know,
know it's
sometimes
difficult.
and sometimes they take a sick day if they're sick, and then if it's the first part of the week and they're scheduled for 5 days, and they miss one, they still have 48 hours that week.
Right.
Are you primarily always trying to backfill officer with officer and not officer with a corporal?
We try,
or officer
yeah.
with a sergeant, or?
Yeah, but we, you know, at a certain point, you just run out of people who want to work their days off. So
Because, I mean, if you backfill with a deputy into the jail,
It's
that's
more
at an
expensive.
overtime rate, that's a deputy supervisor, well, shoot, you're paying.
So the supervisors
Full-time is
had
what you
269 hours of overtime in the jail compared to the jailers having 2,389 hours. Just a tenth, 1/10.
Yeah.
Are
we still holding positions in 409 that are fillable, that are above?
They're part-time positions and we're using them,
We
yeah.
still have those?
So if we ever
We
got
can't
full,
fill if we find
we
some.
could fill, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in the budget conversation here later, but, yeah, I mean, we've got $500,000 for salaries and then fringe on top of that in 409 is just in case. Now, part of those are built in for SO, or the jail, if they were able to get, to fill and needed them. They're also just as a contingency, if something terrible happened. We're having a dance party.
I'm trying to turn it off.
And I, cause I had gotten some information and I'd shared this with the chief too, just to compare with Taylor County. And it's funny, when you talk about those numbers, that adds up. They have a much lower overtime amount there, but a much higher built-in salary amount.
Yeah, they're more employees.
Yeah,
to
and so
cover.
they've got more
Their relief
positions.
How many more employees, do you know?
I don't know, I know that they,
And I don't know how big their jail is either.
You know,
it's, their capacity is 720 and
Okay.
their ADP is about 620.
Okay.
So
So it's comparable.
it's comparable. It's about a little over $1 million more in salary dollars. I don't know about positions, but,
I can find out.
I mean,
I think sure.
and that's why I was saying, we look at it as overtime as completely outrageous, and I don't disagree, but if you had those extra employees sitting there and you're paying them full salary and benefits, it might be pretty much a wash
I
in
think
what
it-
we're paying.
probably would be. And it'd be a great, that would, I know you would prefer that, everybody would
Yeah.
prefer that, but I don't think y'all aren't filling positions because you're choosing to
No,
right now,
no,
so.
we just, we work every application comes through,
Yeah,
so.
And they do have a pretty aggressive recruitment, recruitment deputies that are out there trying to recruit, I'll give them that.
And we'll start in the school deal in January.
With the-
WSD.
yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
I hope that answered the questions, or helped some of it.
It's, I don't think you could, for what I'm asking, I think I'd have to get with Matt and look at our yearly overtime or monthly overtime rates compared to what it would be if we had fully staffed. And
Yeah.
look at all
And so
the
those are
numbers
just,
would be.
those are neighborhood numbers, those aren't exact numbers, but,
Wilmer might be
real
able to
close
spit
in
that
there,
off the
but-
top of his head and tell us right where it would be.
well, he sent me some information this morning that I asked for yesterday, so the numbers, total number of hours is correct. I just threw a $30 number out there, because that's an average jailer, $20 an hour.
In French.
and
I didn't figure fringe in there.
Okay.
And Will, there's no, I know that we've, been diligent and got some programs working college, wise through either the Cape Center High School here, Vernon College, and Midwestern. Is there the ability to develop any more college class, internships that allow a student to receive credit by working in the jail?
They still have to go through the whole process of the background and everything. And then, do we compensate them, or do we work, they have to have the jail license to work in the jail, or a temporary. So, we really don't have anything through the colleges set up. The high school is the first one we're gonna set up and try to have it when they graduate, they can take their tests and be ready to on board.
'cause jail standards doesn't really give y'all much in the way of flexibility on.
No, they're pretty strict.
Trying to.
As a matter of
figure
fact,
out
Wichita County, Smith County, and I believe it was Potter County, the only three are getting to do with the high school education at this time.
and that was like 4 years in the making.
Yeah, it's taken us a while to get
Yeah.
here.
Really?
Yeah.
They're the
Started-
only ones, what, approved by the state or what?
Approved by TICO and approved by jail commission.
Okay.
Yeah, TICO had to give it final approval on it.
They did?
Yes, they did. We have to final approval from TICO.
It's just smart use of assets, though.
Mhm.
Hope it's a successful program.
If we get 6 or 7 the first year, I think that's a success. I
Yeah.
think it'll build from there.
Well, it's-
There's not very many jobs you can walk out of high school and make the kind of money you can make in the jail.
Yeah.
Walk right out of high school right into a pretty decent paying job with
Benefits.
great benefits.
Yep.
Thank you for that,
You're
Chief. Any other questions on overtime and salaries?
No, it's
Okay.
still a lot.
Do what?
It's still a lot.
Yeah, I know it is, but
Yeah.
at least it explains it some.
All right.
You're gonna have to have bigger seats up here too. We were full gun belt because it doesn't work. I'm gonna sit back in the back now.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go to item number 3, which is review and discuss regular bills. Margaret sent those over yesterday at 9:44 a.m., not p.m.
Margaret's not here.
Brendan, before I forget it,
There's an Expressway Conoco on my bill.
our copier
That's
at Electra
I'll pull it up.
that we all use is not on our lease plan. It's a standalone type unit, and I was gonna tell you about that. We just really, I did not know it, and I would have told you it was under the same program. I don't know why it wasn't, but we called in some toner or something, and that's when we realized it wasn't. So maybe,
When we do that contract's
What was the amount?
when that happens, we'll
okay.
make sure that it
Okay.
gets one.
225 maybe. Yeah, 225.
Even. Mower tractor, River Road, precinct 2,
Mower, tractor,
labor.
oh, it's the plat repair. Oh, that's Rouse Service Station. This says Expressway Conoco.
Yeah.
Is Expressway Conoco, is Rouse now?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, together, all right.
Yeah, well, they call the one out Pumpkin Center Rouse and the one Expressway
Okay.
and Electra.
Well, they billed the tire repair under Expressway Conoco, that's what caught me off.
Yeah, did you have them
Usually-
fix something, or?
Yeah. I did approve that ticket for Rouse, but I didn't approve one for Expressway Conoco.
Only guys I know that have fixed more tires than Randy Catlin did when he was in high
Mhm,
school.
that's right, that's right.
Back in the old days.
Margaret's on Zoom if you need to.
Okay. I see we've got another LPPF check going out on this one.
Where are you going? You're supposed to be up here. Trying to hide in the back. Where do you think this is? What do you think?
Matt, should that be the last LPPF of the year, or?
No.
No.
So they just call on that whenever they're good and ready.
Mm-hmm.
No schedule.
At about 6
no-
million each, yeah.
Just let me get my wallet out.
It seems odd that they don't have a kind of a schedule set for
Right.
when they call on
Mhm.
those.
And this one was actually, they told us about it 3 weeks ago and set the date for September 2nd. And then they changed the amount the other day. So right before it had to come to Commissioners Court, we had to change the amount and make sure it was all good.
Okay.
Good old state.
You're still looking?
I'm just
Yeah,
not.
keep going, it's fine, I'm just checking. This is riveting television, isn't it?
Necessary evil.
Yep.
I'm good.
Mickey will do something exciting here in a minute.
You good?
I'm good.
You good, Barry?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Any questions on regular bills? Okay. Move to next item, which is 2026 budget work session. Yay. All right. Let me pull up my stuff here. All right, everybody should have either a PDF version or the link to go to it digitally for the 2026 proposed budget filed last Friday. As we've all gotten used to, I'll do a 10 to 15 minute layout here. Some decision points for us to discuss and make some decisions on, and then of course answer any questions that y'all have. I do want to start out this year by first thanking Matt Davis and Mike Sloan in the auditor's office, who either one or both of them was at every departmental budget meeting, and there's been a lot of back and forth with me on some numbers and making sure that this thing was ready to go when it was. And so thank y'all. Made this process a lot smoother and easier than it maybe has been in the past. Second thing, I would like to thank all of the department heads and elected officials. So this year went as smooth as it's ever been. Everyone had meetings on time, back and forth with getting things figured out for salaries and requests, and when there needed to be some back and forth, good discussion, we were able to do that. And then finally, I do want to thank the Commissioners Court. I made the case for ClearGov last year, which was an extra expense. Y'all said yes to that, and you saved me, well, I'd say you saved me a lot of gray hair, but you saved me a lot of stress. I think that it paid dividends, both in the creation of the budget. This was the hardest year it will ever be, because we're building a template from scratch, and it was still so much easier than almost the handwritten one that we've done in the past. It also, I think, does a ton to provide transparency and a lot of additional numbers and data that, whether you're a county employee, commissioner, a member of the public, I think it's good. And I think that if you want to dig in on stuff, it allows us to do that in a way we have not been able to do before.
322 pages.
392.
Oh, 390, oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it depends on how big the font is. I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe it is just 322. But so I wanted to thank y'all for that. So let me give the 40,000 foot overview. It is a budget that comes in at $84.68 million. That is a $1.4 million decrease from the 2025 budget. It's a 1.6% difference. What are we spending money on? 38%, so over a third, is on public safety. Nearly 11% is on judicial functions. A little over 9% is on health and welfare, so that means indigent defense and healthcare, and public defender office, that's indigent defense. 8.6% on road and bridge, 4.9% on construction, permanent improvement costs, 4.7% on debt, 3% on facilities and maintenance and upkeep, and then 18.8% on support services to make all of this function. Things like IT, Commissioner's Court, financial administration services, all of that. From the standpoint of discretionary spending, and specifically the general fund, it's an increase there from last year's budget of $3.5 million. That's a 5.5% increase. That's mainly focused in 3 areas: employee compensation, IT costs, which I'll just have an aside on that here. That is just a cost of doing business now that's not going away, because technology and cyber defense and cyber threats they're just accelerating, and it's going to continue to cost more and more money to keep up and to fight those things. And then our software licenses, and we talked about this in a few of those departmental budget meetings, but those continue to increase, and they're just almost an accepted part of this is how you do business in 2025. On the compensation side, it's a 3% increase for county employees across the board in most departments. There are some exceptions to that with higher amounts, specifically in the attorney classifications and in law enforcement. In 560 and 561, so the sheriff and the jail, there was some evening out of position salaries. So doing the same level of work, same status, same rank or classification, some of those had gotten out of whack. This budget would fund so those can be evened out. And then on that, about an 8% increase for deputies at the SO, a 6% increase for jailers, and a 4% increase for administrative staff in both of those places. This also budget proposed includes increases for nearly every elected official. This is the second year of a 2-year effort to get our salaries for our positions closer to those of our peer counties. After this 2-year effort, we have nearly achieved parity with the bottom. But it was a substantial investment, and as I said last year, I say again, and I say it in my letter in the budget. These are professional positions; they're full-time jobs, and if we want to attract and keep good people doing them, and to supervise their departments well, I think we should pay accordingly. This proposed budget does that. You'll also see something that we haven't seen in some time. There are sizable increases for judicial pay in this budget for elected officials. That is largely due to legislative changes. We are pegged to what the legislature sets for district judge salaries for our county courts at law, and our supplements that go to all of our judges, including me. And so those are offset at least partially, and in some cases like mine fully, by state money, but the budget does have to reflect those. For a revenue picture, this is a tax rate decrease of 1/4 cent from last year's budget. Now, because of higher values, it raises $1.8 million more in property tax revenue from last year. A little over $500,000 of that is from new property added to the rolls this year. Year over year, a $100,000 household would see an increase in their tax bill of about $13 in county taxes than what it would be if it were the no new revenue rate that was adopted. Budget, oh, go ahead.
What was it? All right, say that number again.
So $100,000,
Okay.
$13 of additional taxes
100,000.
than what it would be for if we were just trying to raise the same revenue as last year.
Median home cost in Wichita County?
$187,000. So that number.
Under $30.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
But
the
the-
average family.
This budget continues support for our outside entities, including volunteer fire departments. We are continuing with this proposed budget, something we started last year, it builds on. Reducing the special road and bridge tax rate by $0.01 from what it would have been 2 years ago before we started this. And transferring $0.01 of revenue to the road and bridge allotment, which goes to the road and bridge precincts based on a mileage formula. So, it was half a cent last year's budget, or for the 2025 budget, it's a full cent this year. I've got some more specific things on the general fund. Before we get into that, do y'all have any questions, comments, things you want to clarify, and I'll pass these out too.
Judge, on those, judicial transfers, so the budget actually takes into account, even though that we lay out the money and it's budgeted, there's also the difference of the transfer back in from the state fund, so it's not a net increase to the.
It shows up in the budget as a net increase because we pay those supplements out on a 26 pay period a year basis. So if that state money doesn't come through for some reason, we've still paid it out, so we have to budget for it. So it is in some ways an artificial inflation of the budget from what we know that's likely going to happen, but we need to have it in there.
But it's one of the reasons why we can use fund balance to balance with and not be affected is
Correct.
because just like judicial salaries, $500,000 roughly, and they're offset by state funds coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know that we've got a couple $100,000 coming to offset that, but it's still showing up in the budget. And we'll talk about that some additionally, but that's why we use fund balance to make a difference when a budget shows a deficit
Okay.
where we don't really think we will have
Right.
one. All right, let's talk through general fund, because that's where most of the discretionary spending for the county happens. This budget has $66.9 million in general fund expenses that are budgeted. Of that amount, $750,000 is explicit one-time spending. It's mainly for $700,000 of vehicle purchases in 2026, and then $50,000 if we needed it for furniture expenditures. It also includes $5.2 million in what I would call emergency spending. Based on history, we know it's not going to happen, but y'all know this, we have to have it budgeted if it happened. And that's mainly just $3.7 million in contingencies that are built into 409, 2.5 for general, and then another $1.1 million for payroll, those positions you asked about, Mark, earlier. We've also got $500,000 in indigent defense contingencies that we have a couple of capital murder trials or things that come up that we have to pay for. A ton of expert witness, extra defense, courthouse security costs, that type of thing. And then $1 million in indigent healthcare contingencies that are above and beyond what this county has done in 5 years. Beyond the $500,000 or so we know we're going to spend there. There's also $1.76 million in transfers out of general fund. $1 million of that's to permanent improvement, and then the $1.08 million to road and bridge for that mileage allotment that we've talked about before. $250,000 to the law library because the fees that go to that do not pay for the publication's salary. It's not enough, so that continues. That's the same transfer level I think we've had for the last 2 or 3 budgets there. And then we do have, coming back into general fund, a $575,000 allotment for the salary assistance grant for the sheriff's office that specifically helps bring that number down from the over $2 million it would be. We've got 58.8 million in expected general fund revenues. That is a conservative number, but I think it's closer to where we actually think we'll be than the previous couple of years have been. Worked with Matt on that, and they looked at it hard and really ran the numbers, and I think it's a pretty accurate number. So below that, I've given y'all the 3 scenarios that I think help put a picture together. Because if you're a member of the average public and you look at that and you go, 58.8 million coming in, 68 million going out, that's a $10 million deficit. That doesn't sound good. Well, again, we have to budget based on a catastrophic scenario that is extremely unlikely to happen. So that's why I've put on the handout those what actually is probably likely to happen. Based on, and I went back and I looked at our actual expenses compared to our budgeted expenses in the general fund for 22, 23, and 24. And built out okay, if we took the worst case out of each of those 3 years and applied it to this budget, where would we be? And that would put us at 2026 expenses of about $59.6 million. Which, based on the revenue amounts that we have and the transfer going out, that would be an ongoing deficit of about $900,000 that we're short of revenues to pay for that. And that would leave us with an ending fund balance in the general fund of $19.6 million at the end of 2026. That's a number that's about 33% of annual expenses. If we had a year that was... Oh, go ahead.
So it's right on our target.
Right.
So
If we had a year that was exceptionally bad, not catastrophic, but exceptionally bad, which actually could be a good thing in some ways. And by that I mean, we don't have any turnover. Every position that's in the budget is filled all year. That's the good side of it. Plus, we have some unexpected overages across departments. And we end up with a spend of 91% of what we're budgeting. That still leaves us with an ongoing deficit of a little over $2 million and an ending fund balance of $18.46 million, which is 30% of annual expenses. And then that catastrophic scenario, even in that worst case scenario, we still have an ending fund balance of the year of $12.4 million. I go through that so that someone who's looking at the budget for the first time can see, no, we're not budgeting $10 million more than we are bringing in. That would be irresponsible. It's not what we're doing. What we actually are looking at is, even in a year that's probably a little worse than we expect, it's a small deficit in general fund, and our ending fund balance ends up right where we need to be.
still healthy.
Yep, very healthy and still there. And this is not even incorporating interest income, really. A lot of the things we know on the revenue side are probably going to be higher. But I wanted to go through that scenario so that y'all would have, and so that anyone who's listening or watching would have an idea of just how much thought goes into this. We don't want to overtax people. We want to we want to remain on a stable financial footing, but also be able to meet the needs that we have. And so that's, I think, where this budget lands. But it also lets y'all see that if y'all have ideas for places to cut, things to do differently, things you'd like to see added or subtracted, those are largely the numbers that we're working with. That was a lot of numbers and information. Any questions on that?
I was concerned going into this that it would look worse than it does.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but that's really kind of good news.
What, Judge, do you have a number that a penny drives, not from a perspective of revenue generated, but cost to a taxpayer? A penny on the roll cost that taxpayer with $100,000 home what?
Hold on, do a little math.
Or did we
Cause it's, well, I mean, so on $100,000 home, it's gonna be 1,000 times a cent, so it's gonna be $10? No,
You said is $13 for,
for the increase.
for the increase,
So
but that's
every s-
only the increase.
Every cent on $100,000 is gonna be $10, isn't it?
Or close,
Sounds,
should be.
yeah.
It's gonna be 100,000 divided by 100,000 times
So-
0.01,
So,
yeah.
so by pulling down $1 million, you took the bad year expense, pulling down by $1 million fund balance to compensate is not a savings. I mean, truthfully, as far as what we could encumber ourselves for, I mean, to take $1 million off of the proposed budget here is only a savings. People still have an increase roughly $3.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be, I mean, so if you took it off that, even the median, which was 187,000, that's $18
Mhm.
is the difference, to them on their tax bill. And two, part of the way that I look at this as well is, I want us to always be in a position where if things turn poorly for the next year, can we raise enough revenue so that we're able to compensate if we kept the budget flat without the need to just slash across the board? This is where the discussion's happening in the legislature right now about going from a 3.5% voter approval rate to a 2.5%. Eliminate some of that cushion, which means we have to look at that as well of how much flexibility do we have to respond
Yeah.
the next year if things go poorly in this one.
Because we certainly are live in uncertain times where the increase in property values is not forever something that's going to occur. And as we see it even in the articles I've read in Austin, Texas, where they have lost significant value, home values, if that took a turn for us, we would be forced then to, at least in the short run, live off of our fund balance to compensate in order to get back to a point where we need to be.
Well, that and
The-
the potential increase on an individual's tax rate from year to year could increase by
The-
much. And we have the ability, by planning correctly, to flatten out that curve a little bit and spend out of fund balance instead of if no new revenue rate
Yeah.
changed by
But-
10 cents or something.
Well, but if no new revenue changed by 10 cents, we still don't have the ability to go there, do we?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, the no
you
new
can go to the no new
rate
revenue
is
rate
automatic.
without any.
Even though that rate would,
Cause it's the revenue
it
number
wouldn't
that's
be
the-
changing.
right.
Yeah, I got you.
Do we still have the ability, and I've not read in detail the new provisions, I expect we're gonna learn a little bit about that this next week. There was a retention or a carry forward part of that, is that still in effect?
Yeah, it's an unused increment rate, I think is what
Unused
you're talking
increment,
about.
that's what I'm
Yes,
talking about.
that has not changed. You still get a 3-year running window of whatever we stay underneath the
Okay.
voter approval rate can be added on top of.
Which keeps you from just automatically reaching out and
Yeah.
grabbing it, lets you be a better manager.
And I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's a tool the
Yeah.
legislature in
Yeah.
good wisdom gave because it allows fiscally conservative counties to
Yeah,
know it's
doesn't
there
force
if you
your
need
hand.
it, but
Yeah.
you can
You
keep
can-
it lower than you would otherwise.
Well, and Commissioner, I think your comment of the fact that we're gonna see a time when this real estate value flattens. We always have, we always will. I believe we're beginning to see a little of that now because there's more inventory now than we've had in quite some time. You can check that out and realize that this stuff is, I mean, we're still in a robust economy as far as moving real estate, but there is more inventory now than there was a year ago or 2 years ago. So that tells you that, you know, things are beginning to stabilize and let's cool off a little bit.
That's right now, but what happens if we see this growth that we're expecting? then
Well,
it's
that,
gonna,
yeah, that's the
then
unknown.
we're in a totally unknown
Yeah.
territory for the next couple of years.
That inventory could go away in the blink of an
Yeah,
eye if a
like
few things.
Tomorrow,
Yeah, happen. That's correct. Good point. That's right.
so,
Makes our job
I-
very easy.
yeah. Predicting what that housing market's gonna be over the next 2 or 3
Oh,
years
yeah.
locally is very difficult.
And it may be, our situation may be much different than what you'd see across the state. Because we've not experienced a little of what they've seen in other places, but
Yeah.
maybe our time's
It's-
coming. We just don't know. We hope so. I mean, it would be good.
All indicators
Yeah.
say,
Yeah. Hmm.
If we could, and I'm happy to answer any other questions y'all have, there are some decision points that I know that we need to talk about. This budget does not include directly anything for a records retention project. I know the entity, I think RCI, came in a couple of weeks ago and talked to y'all on Friday. I had just been ballparking based on their estimates. I think we could spend a little over $100,000 and get everything in the JP area up here and over in Lindeman sorted and classified, which would allow us to know what can be gotten rid of, what needs to be kept, and then allow us to make some decisions in 27 and beyond for what we're gonna put digitally, what we're gonna do, and the more expensive part of
So we
that.
don't have a budget line item yearly that we're trying to spend, we have this much money to spend a year for records retention?
Well, he's built this in for the start of the
Yeah.
program.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, there's 115,000 built in to this budget, no more, to allow for us to start that. But it is a decision point of if y'all wanted to do more, if you wanted to do less. That was something that I didn't want to get too far out over the skis. I thought that this was an appropriate number. Get started, know what we have, know what the needs are going to be.
There's a large need for it, and I don't see any reason to try to budget at all. I do kind of agree with incrementally. putting it-
It'll certainly let us see what,
let's go
is
get our
in the
feet
road in
wet.
front of us and get our feet wet on the project.
Yeah. Okay.
And we know we need to head there, and we know that, that's the wave of the future, and that's where we're gonna be, so there's no sense in
Let's
putting it off.
see what product we get out of the end of a
Correct.
$100,000 project rather than jumping off with $1 million project
Sure.
right off the bat.
Right.
And my
I think
hope
it's wise.
is that we're gonna discover a bunch of stuff that can be destroyed that we don't really know we have. And
Well,
that would clean things up and get us moved down the road. That would be good news. Not sure it's there, but I
I
suspect
think
that
it's
some of it-
there,
I
and just
think it's there.
from visiting with them when we walk the properties, we believe there's a lot that can be destroyed.
Well, and that doesn't help us just from being in compliance, doing a better job of managing it, but it helps us from a physical standpoint of,
Yeah, all
Yeah, where do
around,
you
because
keep
we're
it?
looking
Yeah.
at potentially building a new facility just to house the
Yeah.
ongoing
Yeah.
amounts of paper that we keep.
and then when we get that worked out, you can come to my house and we can start on my collection. So,
Destroying online media records is a lot cheaper than building a place to house them.
yeah,
On
it's
the-
for a fact.
On the road and bridge, what is our cent that goes to road and bridge now?
This one is going to be
2.3.
2.3.
2.3 plus the 2.3
Allocation.
total?
No,
No,
2.3.
2.3 is evenly divided amongst the four, and then another cent is being allocated based on.
So
road
3.3 is the total? Because we
Well-
were at like 2.8 this
Yeah,
last
but-
year, right?
Yeah, but Judge, there's more than that. There would have to be more than that.
That's just property tax.
Oh, okay.
not-
Yeah, there's not,
Oh,
because
okay.
everything is
I got
it.
just
Yeah.
And that's what I was curious about. 'cause
Yeah.
If, I think we were 2.8 last year,
Mhm.
and that's really going, it's not quite enough to cover our budget.
Well, it's 2.8 plus half a cent
Mhm.
on the road mileage allocation.
And Judge, I'm trying to remember the conversation now, because there's been so many. In this transfer to Road and Bridge, isn't that what we would hope would be a move toward doing away with the designated fund? Or is there merit in having that? I remember us discussing that.
The designated fund or the
Well,
special
the-
road and bridge
The
tax?
special road and bridge tax, what I'm referring to.
We went back to using it in order to keep us cap space.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
We can tax up to 15 cents on that
Mhm.
Now,
special road and bridge tax.
to that point though, I think when the court did that, the M&O rate was approaching 70 cents, if I
Absolutely.
remember
Yeah.
correctly. Now it's approaching 50.
Mhm.
To some degree, it does, I mean, the taxpayer doesn't see a difference.
No.
If the court wanted to move in the direction of getting rid of it completely and just having it made up for an M&O, we certainly could do that, there's room, but
But a lot of that has to do with those limits. Isn't that correct? Isn't that? the
Well, that's
re-
why it was done.
only,
because it was
only the
Yeah, the
constitutional
reason we went
limit.
to it
Right. 'Cause
historically was,
once you get close to 80 cents, you're,
yeah,
Mhm.
and we
you're
were
capped.
headed in that direction at that time. That's what kind of put us in that frame of mind.
And there's 15 cents, Barry, to be utilized within that road and bridge tax.
Mhm.
That
Okay.
allows you to go
That's right.
up to
That's right.
15 cents.
Plus,
That's right.
it does help our taxpayers to look and see what we're, relatively, what we're spending on our roadways.
Yeah.
What percentage of their taxes is going for roadways?
And that's. I
Which is
kinda
what
like
most
formula
of them are concerned about more than anything else, is the road in front of their house.
yeah, cause,
Or at least our out in the county residents.
so Jeff, you were asking, each of y'all, we've allotted, or we've predicted just shy of $500,000 for each of y'all in the other revenues,
Yeah.
in addition to that number we were talking about for property taxes.
You know, and one thing to consider in that road and bridge that I think has become more apparent, at least to me, in the last year or two, we're seeing the same things on our road and bridge, our county maintained system that we're seeing on 287. A tremendous increase in traffic, tremendous increase in heavy usage. Everything that's traveling on those roads now is by the semi-load at 80 to 100,000 pounds, and those roads weren't built for that.
Right.
And guys, I don't know about the rest of it, but we're beginning to feel it.
Yeah.
We
We all are.
can't stay caught up, and we've got roads that would have been in great shape, we had a rotation going as to when we would re-chip seal and all that. Well, that's completely out the window now, because we're going around fixing damage,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it, Jeff.
Yeah.
And I think everybody else is, Mickey, you're seeing it too. Well,
Us that have sand pits, me and Mark,
Yeah.
we definitely get our share.
I mean,
Our roads aren't designed for semi-truck
no,
traffic.
they're not.
They're just not.
And I think that's gonna become more acute over the next few years. And Mark, once again, if we were to go into this cycle that we're talking about, that's gonna increase
It's gonna,
tremendously.
yeah, it's gonna be a
Now, let me
terrible
change that.
stress on our
When we
roads.
go into that cycle, not if we
Yeah.
go into it.
it's gonna be a terrible stress on our county
Yeah, always
roads.
gets really, so just
Because
something to think about
Those sand
down the road.
pits are gonna go wild.
Cause I
I'm
am
just trying to
really
give
seeing
all my
it more
roads in the
now
state.
than I ever have in the past. It's changing.
So
And you combine that heavy traffic with a wet season, and you have really got problems, and we're seeing it right now. So, anyway, just something to keep in the back of our mind as we move forward.
So, I mean, with that in mind, do y'all have any desire to move to something similar to what the state does with TxDOT in their rainy day fund, where court would set a fund balance amount for each of the road and bridge precincts, and any money that's above and beyond that just goes into like a road and bridge improvement fund that would be there for the bridge that goes out, or the road that is more expensive than you can really, well, Mark, similar to your project that y'all did
Yeah.
last year, where you had to save for how many years to have the funds to do it.
most of my time here.
But
Where,
you better re-ask that though, because I don't think that came across quite as exactly. I think so each precinct, if you have more than certain fund balance, it just automatically comes off your fund balance and goes into that deal.
That's
Yeah,
what
that-
he's
that was
saying,
my question.
To permanent improvement road and bridge.
And if we do that, the only way and we're gonna have to come to a way to determine whose priority is top priority.
That'll be a tricky part.
Well, yeah, we'd
Because-
just have to act on it as a project.
Have to throw down.
Yeah. We go to an arm wrestling match or something, I do something like that.
Running race.
You know,
Yeah,
I've
Mark
got,
wants to run a marathon or take.
I've got Mickey's Bridge stuck in my mind
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's something that's
And
not
I've had
overcomable.
a few of them in a landslide. So,
Well, and
Where do you-
it may be that, I mean, this is a decision for the court. It may be that that gets too tricky because we have 4 individual precincts, and that's, if something were to happen, you pull from 409 and general contingencies. We're still in the same spot where we're having to make those decisions.
This is a status quo year. Next year, we probably gonna have to address that. We may wanna look at adding an extra cent on top of our road and bridge to go into a special fund.
Yeah. And Judge, I didn't mean to
Well, but
pull
what
us
you-
off focus because I know this is looking down the road.
Well, this was one of my decision point questions, so.
But it is something I think that's gonna become more into focus over the next few
Yeah.
years. And we really need to be thinking about it.
but the only reason, a lot of times, I mean, I've told all y'all, I was real frugal on my road and bridge because I was trying to save money to redo River Road and a hot lake. No different than he
Yeah.
did with Old State Road. But if you have it to where it's set up to where your fund balance automatically drafts and goes to the permanent improvement fund, if you get over a certain amount, that doesn't incentivize you to try to save money and
No.
build it up for that
Well,
project.
I mean, what's the incentive to save money if you're doing it that way, though? Wouldn't you just submit the project? If
Yeah.
you needed $2 million to do that, wouldn't you?
Submit the
Just like we
project
do for permanent improvement today here at the
Right.
courthouse.
Right.
Well, and the reason I bring it up and I ask is because I had somebody who was looking at the budget asking me, they was just talking about fund balances and general fund, and then they were asking me about road and bridge fund balances. I'm like, so the county's got about, a third, because we try to keep it at that number. But road and bridge fund balances for 1, 2, and 3 are all in excess of 100% of annual expenditures. 4 is a different story. And so they were just trying to understand why, and I was explaining the amounts are smaller. Therefore, if you're trying to save up for a brick project, and again, I used Mark's Road as an example, finding $1 million when your total expenditures is just a little over $1 million is
It's hard to do.
is hard to do. But that also got me to thinking, well, would it make sense to put an amount at that fund balance number of, call it $1.5 million or whatever it would be, and then have all of the rest of it go into a fund that everybody knows is there if it's necessary. But that does create the throwdown scenario, so.
I see several potential $1 million plus projects on the horizon if these things come to pass that we're being told about.
Yeah.
I see Hammond Road right off the bat needing $1 million plus.
River Road.
River
Truck
Road,
route.
yeah, Morgan,
Yeah, and the good thing about growth is that new value coming on the
New
rolls
value
helps
comes,
pay for
yeah.
that.
but it's lagging.
But it, yeah,
It's lagging.
Yeah.
We have to be
you
ahead
do the
of it.
roads
Yeah.
first, and then
Yeah,
um,
And then by the time they get done with the construction, your road's wore out again.
it's gone, yeah. There's nothing left but dirt.
the other big thing that came up since we had the construction roadmap conversation in here about a month and a half or whenever that was, the contemplated way station up near Iowa Park along US 287 appeared to be a pipe dream or not going to happen because of the costs involved. Then we got some information back that looked like it might actually be doable for between 1 and 1.5 million. And so that was not contemplated in that construction roadmap project. I did put it in the capital improvement plan as part of the budget, but it removes a lot of the cushion that was going to be there to help pay for the stuff we had talked about in 27, 28, and 29, without the need to put in more funds in those years moving forward. And it may be something that is just, because until the court has an actual quote in front of it, it's hard to make a decision on that. But I did want to make y'all aware that it's in this plan now. The money that's in permanent improvement with the $1 million transfer on top of what will still be there at the end of this year can still handle all of the projects that we talked about for 26. But it leaves a fund balance that's about $250,000 at the end of next year in permanent improvement, if we were to go through and do everything that we had talked about doing in 26.
Which that would be the lowest that's been in
Ever,
a long,
probably,
in
yeah.
a long time. since
Well, I
it's
tell you,
established.
we've done a lot of stuff in the last
Oh, my
5 or
goodness,
6 years.
yes.
Well, we have.
Thanks to, thanks to ARPA mainly, but
Right.
an incredible amount.
There's still a lot that needs to be.
Yeah, and again, not a decision necessarily the court has to make on this now. It's contemplated in there. The money is there to handle it. If it gets to be much over $1 million, though, the court starts contemplating, and that's going to be a different story.
Well, you could have one event, what are you saying, down to 500,000?
For the permanent improvement
For
fund.
permanent improvement fund, see,
Yeah.
you could have one event that would consume that easily.
Yeah.
We've already been there. And I'm talking about disaster type, whether it be weather or, whatever.
But I think that the way station brings value and has the ability to self-fund itself and eventually pay back money spent towards that endeavor. It depends on how we come in finally with the architects telling us exactly, what may be needed to the footprint that we have today. But I think it's a revenue generator, or has the potential to. I think about it this way: if you drove through Decatur lately in Wise County, you encounter a lot of highway patrols, and those speeding tickets that are given out on 287 are monies to the coffers of Wise County to an extent. We don't have that here, and this will help enhance that to some extent. And I think DPS and Will jumped on this right off the bat when he had heard about the possibility of being able to achieve it. I think that DPS is all on board to staff it in a manner that even brings civilian workforce into the mix, and even to request for an upgrade to themselves to enhance weights and measures. And so I think that going forward, once we bite the bullet and make the commitment and the investment, I think that it will pay, and has the potential to pay going forward, and it's something that we can repay the money spent on.
It could be self-supported, because we've been working on this thing a long time.
Correct.
We looked at.
Yeah,
several
we had
different
CTERS
scenarios.
money set aside for it.
Oh, yeah.
We did, and we almost lost it all.
Mm-hmm.
But Leon and I sat in the auditor's office for 3 days going over records to try to claw that back before, the
Yeah.
last day before we
Yeah.
lost it. And that was supposed to be put into some of my fund balance to pay back for my Old State project, and it never happened, but that's water under the bridge.
Is it?
Apparently so, because I don't know what happened to
As
it.
long as the bridge doesn't collapse, you're.
But we did have CTERS money
Yeah.
that was taken from each precinct before I came on board to go to build a way station. We spent hours and hours and hours working on it.
I'd like to add to the 287, DPS does have the staff, and they're just waiting for Buco for one thing, but you all know the truck traffic on 287 is just heavier and heavier all the time. And you said in some of the reports we do with DPS, the 287 traffic is comparable to I-20 traffic, or truck traffic anymore. And we've got 3 deputies now that are certified weight inspectors, and we'll probably get another one. So we do have
And when it comes time and stuff's finalized, again, this was just more of a, wanted to make y'all aware, because it had come up since our construction roadmap meeting, to know what that was in reference to and what it was about. When it comes time to actually make some decisions on it, it'll be an item of court, we'll have a full discussion, full debate, and everything. But, Matt, do you think of anything, like on the decision point that we had talked about that I did not bring up?
Just that the county would not be technically the owner of the waste station. We could sub-recipient that out, because if we were, then it would create a proprietary fund and kind of like an enterprise fund where we would be managing something and collecting revenue for it. We would be only seeing the revenue from the citations, as Commissioner
Yeah.
Watts mentioned.
Who would own it?
Ted Stott.
Text dot, cause it'll be on there,
Mhm.
It's on their
it's
right of
on
way.
their right
Yep.
of way.
What's their participation in it? We're just building a facility for them and they're gonna
No.
end up getting most of
No.
it?
TxDOT wouldn't get anything out of it revenue-wise,
Oh, my
per
goodness,
se.
they do too.
Oh, yeah,
The
they
state
do.
portion of the ticket is a lot more than the county portion.
Well,
No, that,
not-
I mean, but that's flowing more, it doesn't flow to TxDOT, it
But
flows to
It
DPS.
flows to general fund, Texas.
It would have to be rebudgeted.
Yeah, it gets
But
allocated
that's the
back
whole
out.
point in weight tickets is because they're tearing up the roadways being
Yeah.
overweight.
Sure,
Yeah,
That's
they go-
funneling right back to
sure,
TxDOT.
it funnels back to them, and our, regardless of that, our percentage wouldn't change.
Right.
Whether we own the whole thing or we didn't own any of it, we still get the same money. one
Well,
way
I'm
or the
not,
other.
so once we, that's what my question would be in that, is if we build it, it's TxDOT's, they maintain it after that point?
No,
We sign it over to
we,
them and
we
they-
would, we would be, we would have some physical responsibility of actual things that occurred there, just simply because they're not designed. Now, DPS, they can add enhancements to it, from computers to countertops to physical
It seems like.
equipment.
It seems like once you deed that property back over to them, it fall under the maintenance of.
Well,
like
it's never
TxDOT.
deeded, it'll never change hands.
Then who owns it?
It is theirs and it
question.
remains theirs.
Okay. Do they own the insurance on it? Are we gonna pay insurance on it?
I think those are probably questions that we can tackle
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
becomes an actual agenda item.
Yeah.
And folks from all the different entities are here and can
Okay.
answer questions and involved.
What, Van, the station out there in Colorado City, you know, that is one that the county was actively, that I know of actively, and I've talked to people there, on their facility and what they generate. But me and Van were looking the other day, just looking at some of those facilities and the scope of how they're laid out. And there were 6 or 8 DPS cars at that facility when we looked at the
Google map.
yeah, and I was shocked that there was that much. Of course,
Is
there
that
were
the
a
one
lot
that's
of,
got the JP office built into
Yes,
it?
uh-huh.
Yeah, I've been to it. I physically went out there and looked at it.
You weren't there in front of the JP. for
Oh,
any
no,
reason,
no,
right?
no. No, but no, it's, they've got a JP office right there with a walk-up window. So if you're in violation, you just walk up and settle up. And they're
Right.
on the scene.
right.
And,
One-stop shop.
yeah, it's big. And they utilize it a lot. It was busy today. We were going to a meeting in Lubbock, and I drove out there that day to look at it, because it seems like one of the challenges we've had on this thing, Jeff, this is the second time we've really approached this. And we start off pretty simple, and it just seems to grow, into, it winds up not costing 500,000, it winds up costing, $1.5 million. And, I wish there was a way we could avoid that, but I don't guess there is.
No. All right, that's, I think, it that I have for the 2026 budget. Any questions? Okay. All right.
It's a big budget with a lot
Any
of
questions
reading.
out there?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Any questions from anyone? Yeah, 322 pages, 392 pages. A lot of that's pictures. It's good.
A little light reading.
I would recommend, I know I love having the paper in front of me. It is an easier to view and use document if you follow the link that's on the county homepage to look at it on digital
Instead of the PDF.
instead of the PDF. Although the PDF is nice with a clickable table of contents that can get you right where you want to go. But I just think it's easier to navigate digitally. Okay, last chance. All right. Item number 5, discussion regarding surplus equipment.
All I had on that, I just, right off, and I don't know, I know that Barry and I have discussed, but any thoughts, we're going to move forward and, go ahead and list the distributor, the old distributor, the 2007, and try to get it slotted in there, which, Morgan, we're going to have to surplus if that's what the court wants to do on that machine. And then we didn't have to utilize it this year. It's fully capable. It has had a solid maintenance to it for the start of the year, and we're there. But any of the other equipment too, I kind of need to get the photographer situated and scheduled in here. I know that y'all may all have, and Mark's talked to me about things that he has, but I need to kind of know, and then we're gonna have to list that so we can get it surplused on.
Is that distributor better to wait till February to run it through auction?
It could be. I think it's gonna be in demand anyway, but either way we go.
The guys that run it don't run it during November, December,
Yeah.
January, so.
They're gonna be looking for one coming January, February.
Yeah.
I just thought it
I
might.
think timing on it be,
Yeah.
it's kinda like selling a combine, you
Yeah.
know, it really is a seasonal
It might be better
deal.
to wait till February to list it.
Yeah. But you know, you take somebody, I mean, that's what we think about, but like Victoria, they never quit chip sealing.
Right.
They chip sealing year round.
I mean, my thought is put it up there, and if you think you can get more based on what comes in, then that's fine, but.
I think
And I
it's,
We're never
haven't
gonna
had
get
it
back out what we
appraised.
put into it.
I haven't, had it, but I surely the thing will bring $75,000, I would think.
We're gonna have a
It's
ceremony
nice.
thanking it,
Yeah.
while we do it, and giving it a proper send-off.
So, but other than that, that's really what we've got.
and we were only comfortable in doing that in the last 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
Because
No,
before
that's
that,
right.
it wouldn't.
We were anxiously prepared in case we had to get back in it, but it's been 2007, so she's crowding 20 years old now.
Yeah, but it is a nice unit. I
It's a
think
nice
it
clean
was.
unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
so
been rebuilt 4 or 5 times.
several times.
Yeah.
That's right. So
You're right.
Do you have a timeline, Jeff, for when you're looking to potentially move on that? So that
yeah, this
everybody
fall,
knows?
he will want to do that in September at some point. I think whether get our, as long as he'll have a 6-month window pretty much to move or stagger some of that in. There was some recently, we've got a friend that has some equipment on Purple Wave, quite a bit of equipment, and it's some of it has went through the roof and some of it has been a little bit soft. So seems like the yellow iron stuff has really sold well and done good, and so I think, you know, depending on how the economy does, but that we know that road work is all over the place out there, and people are actively doing those jobs, so.
All right. Anything else on that point?
That's it really from me. If y'all will make your list of any surplus stuff you have, and we'll get that to Morgan, and then I can get Jensen to schedule us somebody to come.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Any other questions, comments? It is 11:25 and court is adjourned.